All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball Podcast. We have a second time guest now this offseason. We have Red Sox pitching prospect Adam Bates, and I'm sure once he gets talking, you'll remember him from the last episode we had with him. But he is probably everybody's favorite Australian pitching prospect in the organization because he is the only one in the Red Sox system. But Adam, I know we kind of talked a little bit off air a little bit, but I guess for everybody at home as well. How has it been since coming back home? And I know you're back in Australia now and just kind of getting settled in for your little off season that you have. But how has everything been going?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like obviously the first couple of days I got back, missed my family, so I got to spend a little bit of time with them. See my girlfriend, see my friends. It's been really good to be back. Not liking the cold weather when I first got back. Being in Florida for 7 months, it was really really hot, pretty unbearable in some days. But the weather's starting to warm up now, so it's good to be home. But definitely missed everybody. So
Now, how long had it been since you were back in Australia?
I think about the time I got home, I think it was about 7 months.
Is that the longest you've ever been away from home?
Yeah, it would be. I think the longest before that was about 2 months. I was away from home, but I had mum with me the whole time. So, away from home, but not away from family the whole time.
Yeah, this time, little bit longer. I mean, that's 5 months is the first time anywhere is going to be a really long time. Add another 2 months, that's 7 months. That's a while. How do you feel now, 7 months later, after you left? Like, how has Adam Bates changed in that period of time?
I think I became a lot more independent. I guess you kind of have to be. So, growing up, you always rely on mum and dad to do this, do your washing, cook your food, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, yes, we have food provided, but it's all about, doing what you want to do when you need to do it. Not thinking, oh, when can mum do this? Can mum do that? So I definitely feel a little bit more independent. I wouldn't say I changed a whole lot though in that respect. I still rely on mum and dad every now and again, just because it's so hard to talk to them. So, get advice on certain things, and especially dad. When I started playing baseball, he became a pitching coach. I asked him to look at video of me and what he thinks has changed and stuff like that. So, I think I became a little bit more independent. So
it's interesting because we don't get to see you guys pitch. Because we get footage of like Salem and Greenville, and you're probably going to be in Salem this coming season, I assume. But we don't really get to see tape. We just kind of follow the box score. Do you guys get to see tape of your performances? Do you is your dad still able to watch you pitch at all?
Kind of the same thing. So each game that I pitch, they watch the box score because there's no actual video, I guess, like a video recording. However, they do like a recording for player purposes. So we have like an app. I think it's pitch based. So they record, different angles. So that way they can analyze, if we're working on something. So for me, a lot of the season this year was working on using my back leg a little bit more. So they watch different video of that, and then we can analyze it together with that. But it's not really out to the public, I guess, in that sense. So you kind of crop it down and send it especially to my dad. So.
How did that feel to finally get into some games stateside? And obviously you pitched in 11 games at the complex. So I guess just what were your takeaways about just at least finally facing, hitters from different organizations and just officially getting a start?
You say different teams. I actually face the Twins every week. So bit annoying in that respect, but you take where you can get. So I really like the pitching. My first game, I got into it and I was like, wow, it's happening. Like I didn't really feel it until I kind of got into a game. You're like, wow, this is really happening. I was pretty fortunate. My first my first batter was a strikeout. My second batter, however, I think was a home run. So, one win, one loss straight away. But, being able to compete and find where I stand within the minor league system, I guess, straight off the bat kind of was really good for me. But I think, I kind of wish I faced another team other than the Twins. But, you know, professional baseball is professional baseball. So,
did you find that the more you pitched against them, the easier it got? Or were they making adjustments to you and then you had to adjust accordingly? Because I feel like facing the same guys over and over again, like you would know each other after a while.
yeah. So the first couple of weeks, they kind of had my number. I gave up a fair few runs, fair few hits, but then it was kind of like, all right, now I have to make an adjustment. So I made an adjustment. We developed a sweeper, which helped me get more of an out pitch. Because it matched my fastball a lot better. But then it was more of having a little bit more confidence in myself, being able to go after guys. They hit me once, it doesn't necessarily going to happen again. So being able to make that adjustment and not use the previous outings as like a stepping stone. So I kind of used that to then create a new pathway for me to be able to compete.
Yeah, following your season, because again, you're just doing it via box scores and numbers, so you're not seeing it. But just reading off this, 3.96 ERA, 17 walks to 36 strikeouts. It was in 36.1 innings. You've started 9 games. Do the stats mean anything to you, or are you just kind of it's more how you feel that day? Like what do you look at that level, I guess, to show your where you're at?
So yeah, we kind of look at stats like win loss. You don't really look at. You kind of look at the walks strikeouts ratio. So they preach as little walks as you can to as many strikeouts as you can. So I think I had 1 month in there where I had a pretty bad walk month. Working on a couple of things I just couldn't seem to find. I got very timid at times. So I was kind of like trying to be very fine. I think I had like 10 walks in a month, which wasn't very good. But we more look at development in a sense. So for me, the first couple months was trying to build up velo. So we're looking at how much my velo average was increasing. And then they're looking at shapes. And then it was like to the point, like the last month or so, it was like, all right, how do we use all of that together? They don't really look at ERA. It's kind of what they say an outdated stat. So they kind of look at what they call expected run value, ERA, about, barrel percentage and walk percentage and strikeout percentage, all of that into the ideal pitcher. So you're kind of trying to limit all of those to where best you can.
How much of this is stuff that you just learned this year kind of on the fly, and how much of it is stuff that you knew going into like joining the organization?
Pretty much everything that they taught me was all this year. So I came into it, as Australia, we barely had a track man. So we have a Rapsodo, it shows you like your spin efficiency and stuff like that. It doesn't show you your horizontal break, your vertical break. It doesn't show you, we don't have slow motion cameras. Like we have none of that information available to us. So like the first month I got here, they're talking about this stuff. I'm like, my mind's kind of like exploding. I'm like, what is going on? And then you kind of learn it as you go along. So they explain it to you. So pretty much everything that I learned was from Boston.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're taking. Sounds like you're taking an analytics class on top of the pitching.
Yeah.
Was that like I know we kind of talked earlier as well. Like I think a few months back I may have been messaging. I can't remember if it was you or Stein I was talking to about, but you guys I know had like velo goals and stuff like that. The team would wanting you guys to hit. How did that go for you this year? Like from the start to the finish, like did you notice any change with yourself? Any like with your pitches or velo or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So the first, so I spoke to my scout on a regular basis. So I don't have an agent at the moment, so I kind of didn't really have someone talking in my corner. I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. So after every outing, I would talk to my scout, and he said to me this one day, I can't remember what it was. It was like your first bullpen or your first game, you had one pitch over 90 miles an hour. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a big shock to me. But I think then it was like one of the last games that I threw, I had 5 or 6 pitches over 94 miles an hour, which is a PB for me, and I think one pitch below 92. So in the 5 months, I think at that point, I had a big velo jump, but then it wasn't just 1 or 2 pitches of it. It was like an average jump. So I think my average going into was like 89 or something. So jumping from 89 to like a 92 and a half, I think I finished with, was a big jump. Didn't go unnoticed. So I was talking to our strength and conditioning coaches, our pitching coaches, and they all noticed, all of the work that was put into it. So yeah, I didn't meet my max velo, which was 95. I think I hit 94.4. So, really close. But the average jump was really good. So.
And what kind of things were they like kind of having you do to get to there? I mean, obviously it was, there was a lot of work behind the scenes that I'm sure a lot of people don't really realize of what you have to do to get that. So I know, I know it's probably a lot, but maybe just like what were some things that you were doing to get that jump?
So in spring training, we went through a velo program. So I think the first couple of weeks was plyo pull down. So doing a couple of different drills with different weights, trying to throw as hard as you can, see where you're at. And then the next couple of weeks was weighted ball pull down. So you did a couple 5s, a couple 6s, and a couple 4s, and you're really just trying to throw it as hard as you can. So I did that, trying to build, the arm speed, the arm strength, then building that up. And then during the season, it was, doing the shoulder program to make sure the shoulder's good, but then also in bullpens, it's doing it at game intent. So, you sacrifice a little bit of location in these velo pens, to be able to throw it harder. Cause you get into a game, it's like, all right, I need to throw it to strikes, but you're not always going to get a 96 mile an hour fastball straight away. So being able to teach your arm to move at that pace during your bullpen was what we worked on.
Yeah, that's I don't know, that I feel like it's people don't truly realize that, obviously you were saying your average jump over 3 miles per hour, right around 3 miles per hour. Like that's a huge deal.
That's significant. Yeah.
And that's not easy to do either. Like, I feel like if that was easy to do, like everybody would be doing that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's impressive in its own mind. So
I do have a question about that real quick. Just at least when I hear that a pitcher has boosted their velocity a bunch almost suddenly, I do sometimes wonder, like, the physical toll that it takes on your shoulder or on your elbow. Did you go through any, I guess, not necessarily injuries, because obviously you pitched the whole season, but was there more wear and tear on your arm than you expected there to be from that? And how long did it take for you to get used to throwing harder?
I didn't, as you said, I didn't get any injuries. I definitely felt fatigue at some points. So in Australia, like I would throw like max 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Some days it'd be like really short, some days it'd be long. So you kind of didn't really have like a throwing schedule. So the first couple of months, like I definitely felt fatigue. It wasn't sore. But you get to the end of the week, you're like, oh, I got to throw again. Like, but you kind of build that up to that point. So during the season, like you take those recovery days to what you have to do, so you don't overdo it. The first couple of weeks I was there, I'm like, oh, recovery day, I don't need to do, 60 feet. That's not that far. I can go more. But then you get to middle of the season, you're like, all right, 60 feet's enough. But no, so my arm, like starting to throw harder. You kind of feel it the first couple of times, like not sore, but the the next day you're like, oh, okay, you can feel I've thrown. But then after that, it kind of felt like I was when I was throwing, 89 miles an hour. It kind of felt the exact same as that. It's just, you build up that tolerance level.
That's got to be a really cool feeling to just be like, this is what I throw now. Like this is like, oh yeah, I don't have to. This isn't me giving it everything I've got. This is just what my arm is now.
That's what happened. When I came back and I throw with Dad because the people I would throw with, they all have jobs. So that during the day they can't throw. So I threw with Dad a couple of times. I'm just rolling it over and he's doing these. He's like, whoa. I'm like, I'm not throwing it that hard, Dad, but you kind of throw it and it's like, oh, I don't realize how hard you actually throw. Like it just feels normal to you. At the Red Sox, all around you is all normal to them. But, especially back here, you don't see 90 miles an hour very often. I had a pull down day yesterday for my throwing program. I was doing it at 90% and, some of the guys are standing around watching me. They're like, this is crazy. I'm like, it's just normal for me, but you kind of understand where you're coming from when I was younger, watching people do that as well. So.
Has it been speaking of that, like obviously you're surrounded by a lot of people that you grew up with and you've known your whole life, but now you have this experience where you turn pro and you've been in the United States for the last 7 months and you go back and obviously people are like watching you and they're like, that's incredible. Like we don't get to see that all the time. Is it like, and I know you just said you're like, no, this is normal for me, but like, has it like really felt like you were coming home? It was kind of like one of those things where it's just like, okay, like what I'm doing is like kind of like a pretty big deal and like people are noticing. And I looked, I've seen on Twitter and Instagram, the Baseball Australia, like putting out tweets about you. And I remember seeing one during the season. It was like, oh, like Adam Bates, like after the month of June has been lighting it up, like for the complex league. Like, is it cool to kind of see a lot of the support and everything from the home country?
Yeah, definitely. So coming back home, I don't think of myself as, a Red Sox player. So I've always been a homegrown kid. So going back to my local club, like I always help out. So, some kids, they want some bit of pitching advice. I'm doing a couple private lessons with a couple kids. So being able to give back has been really good. Being able to see those kids, when I go out into to the field, they come up and ask for photos, and it's like a big surprise for them to to see someone like that. But I always do it for the kids because I was like that growing up. I always wanted the autograph. I always wanted a photo. So being able to be in that position to do that for someone's really cool. And having parents and kids come up and said, "Oh, we followed your journey. Like we followed your season. Like you did really well." So being able to hear that from people that, not people that I know personally, like just people I know from hearsay, being able to hear that they follow my journey just as much as my family and friends did was really cool. So.
And I do have to ask, the last 7 months you were at the complex, did you ever get a chance to, I can't remember if it was you or it might have been Stein with Kinley, but did you get a chance to talk with Liam Hendriks at all?
I did, actually. I spoke to him a couple times. So he got my number, as I said, through my scout. So they kind of have an Australian tradition where if you're in a higher level than the other guy, you kind of always welcome. So because, it's such a far distance for us all the way from Australia, we don't really have that, close personal contact with someone if you haven't been here for very long. So, you always introduce yourself, get to know them, make sure that, not necessarily alone, but, I've been through this. If you have any questions, they're there to help. And Liam for me was that, being in the Red Sox. My scout wasn't over there during spring training, so I didn't really have someone I knew from back home. I think for most of spring training, I really only knew Stein and a couple other people. So being able to talk to him about some certain things was really cool.
Did you get to make because I mean, Stein was your roommate, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Did you get to did you make any other friends while you were there? Because I know that there would be something of a language barrier, at least initially, because a lot of the guys in the FCL, they're all coming from the Dominican. It's their first time in the States also. But I guess as you were there for longer, did you get to meet more people? Like how, I guess, what's the social aspect of everything like?
So most of the actual season itself, we had a lot of, you said the language barrier, so big language barrier, but it kind of didn't really stop us. So I learned a few words here and there. A couple of the guys, like we'd always hang out at the pool. They had a volleyball, so we'd play like a bit of volleyball in the pool. You can't have like full on conversations like we're having, but you get little bits from pieces because they have English class. So they learned a little bit. We learned a little bit of Spanish. So you kind of got to know them through bit of fun and game. We played a lot of chess at the field. So that was the big thing at the complex. We played a lot of chess. Chun Sol, the Korean kid, start of the season spoke no English. By the end, he was speaking pretty fluently.
Wow.
So yeah, like big difference. So we hang out with him a lot. And then when the draft guys came in, the first couple of weeks, like I was just getting to know everybody. Then I was like, all right, where are we going? We played a lot of golf, with the draft guys. They're there at the moment. They're playing. One of the guys messaged me, says, "Yeah, we play golf like 2 days a week at the moment." I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." So during the season, it was quite difficult at some points, to have a full on conversation if they weren't speaking English. But as I said, we learned, just by hanging out. And then the draft guys, when they came in, a bit more people to talk to. So.
I didn't even think about that. Australian golf is pretty big in Australia. Like obviously you have the Adam Scotts of the world, the Jason Days of the world. It's a pretty big thing. And was that, so that wasn't new to you, obviously, like coming over to the States, like you had already played and everything, right?
So I didn't start playing until October last year. So I didn't really play it growing up. I was always really focused on, baseball for a long time. And I got to a point where afterwards we have our final exams in middle of October for high school. So by that point, you weren't going to see your friends all the time. I was going overseas. A lot of my friends were starting university. So golf was our way of, interacting with each other. We weren't very good at the start. Let's be real. I have a very baseball swing in golf, so massive slice.
It's fair.
But I played a lot of golf beforehand, and then it wasn't really new to me, but I wasn't very outstanding at the same time. But being out on the course, talking with people, just hanging out was really good. So.
I do like to ask this question to a lot of guys, especially guys as young as you, because I think some people, there's fans out there that will see a certain like just players in the organization, say they're in Salem, Greenville, wherever they are, and they had a bad season, right? And it's just like, okay, well, why did that player have a bad season? They're 18 years old. They're away from their family for the first time ever. And it's a culture shock. They might have not have grown up there, or they not have done something like this. So, obviously with this being your first full season and just being there for so long, I know we talked about it, it was nice to be back home, but how long did that take you to get over? Like, was there any like mental hump there that you kind of had to get across of being like, okay, I don't get to see the parents for a long time. I just need to power through this. Like I'm in this, like I got to do this. Like how long did that take you to kind of really settle in and just be like, okay, I can mentally do this. I want to do this and I can succeed.
So I don't think I really had one. I think so the first 2 weeks I was there, mum was over there. So she doesn't want to let me go straight away. So she came over for the first 2 weeks. So I was fine for that. But after she left, it was like, I knew I wanted to do this from a younger age. I wouldn't say like too young, but I think I was about 15 or 16 when I decided I wanted to move over here, whether that be professional baseball or college. So I kind of mentally prepared myself that I was going to have to leave home at some point. But I wouldn't like, I don't think I really had like a mental block in that respect. It was hard not seeing them, but I knew what I wanted to do and how I had to do it. And my family were very supportive of that dream. They always have been. So being able to, go out every day, work to what I want to do with having their support, even though I can't talk to them, I can't see them all the time, knowing I have that support was always there. So being able to have that and then be able to do it all the time without having to worry was good. So I kind of missed that mental hump to get over. So was good for that.
Yeah, I remember I went to school in Arizona, which isn't the same. Massachusetts to Arizona isn't the same distance as Australia to Florida. But I still remember very vividly when my mom left to go to the airport to fly back, and you kind of just have that feeling hit you all at once, like, I am by myself now. Like, this is all real. This is all. Did you? I remember that. I remember that feeling. There was that excitement because it's your first time at school and everything, but it felt isolating. I do remember it feeling isolating, and it taking a bit for that feeling to dissipate. I guess as I got more used to being in a different place. I'm sure that you went through something at least somewhat like that. Do you remember when it started feeling like this is normal? Like this is like I feel comfortable here. This is what I'm used to.
So yeah, I definitely felt that when mum left. It was like, oh yes, I'm excited to start, but then it's realized you're like, oh, I'm not going to see her next week. I'm not going to see her on the weekend. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm really by myself. But I think it started feeling normal. I want to say like 2 weeks later. So I think she left just before the season started. So at that point, I got used to, waking up every day, going to the field, talking with everybody. We'd end up watching a game afterwards. But it just really felt normal, probably like 2 weeks later. Because it's like, all right, I wake up, go to baseball, do my stuff, then come back. But yeah, I don't think anything else was really a big change after that. So.
All right, Adam. I'm switching lanes here. We asked you a bunch of questions the first time we had you on, which was actually kind of fascinating because it was like kind of the first time you were like brand new to the States. I'm pretty sure that was like one of your first couple months there. Mm-hmm. So I need some updates now. So okay. My first question to you, I need you can give me 2 or 3 examples, but I need some of your favorite things about America after living there for 7 months.
Oh, living in Florida was definitely the golf. So I played a lot of golf. Like you don't see as many nice courses. So coming back here, they're not as nice. You kind of get used to that after a while. So definitely the golf. Oh, that's a good question. I definitely found it enjoyable to drive on the other side of the road. Because we drive on the left-hand side here, so everything's flipped.
I would be so freaked out by that. Like I've never had to do that before. I feel like I would be terrified.
Oh, it's not terrifying because once you learn to drive, it's kind of the same thing. You just flip sides. So that was pretty cool, and the variety of food. So there's a lot of food available. So,
did you try anything new while you were here that you really liked?
We went. So Stein and I would go like every Friday night. We'd go to a steakhouse. We went to this steakhouse one time. Oh, it's a Texas Roadhouse. Their bread was really good.
Oh my god, the bread at Texas Roadhouse is incredible.
It's really good.
It's so good.
That was amazing. But then the one thing I remember about Texas Roadhouse was the saddle up. Every time we went there, someone was getting on the saddle.
Birthday thing. Yeah.
Yes, and Stein said to us one time that he had to get up on it. And I wish I was there. That was last year. I wish I was there to see that. It would have been quite funny. And I don't remember what the other place is called. It's like a Raising Cane's kind of thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a fried chicken place.
Is it Zaxby's?
Yes, Zaxby's. That was really good as well. We don't have those over here.
We don't have them up here either. That's just like a Southern thing. I don't know if you know this, but Parker, I'm pretty sure it's Parker's goal to eventually one day become the spokesperson for Zaxby's. Like he loves Zaxby's.
What, wasn't I the guy that told you guys to go to Zaxby's?
I think you were, yeah.
Oh, let's go.
I think, yeah.
I told you guys, I'm like, if you're ever looking for it, there's like a bunch. There's like 3 of them, I think, in Fort Myers.
Yeah,
or maybe it's 2.
There was one like 5 minutes down the road, I think.
So you guys liked it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
About Stein.
Oh no.
Well, you'd have to ask him. I don't actually remember. I think it was pretty good because when Caden Rose was down here, we went to go to Zaxby's because he enjoys it a lot as well.
Okay, so now we have to get Caden on now. Basically, is my takeaway here.
Yeah, he really likes it. And then we went down from Zaxby's to golf actually, but we were kind of in a rush to eat and go because we were playing at Ibis Landing, which was like half an hour away. So I don't know. We didn't really get to talk to Stein about it afterwards, so that'd be something you have to ask him.
Okay. That's good to hear, Ed. That's really good to hear because I actually said that to them. I said it to both of you guys, one of you guys. I forgot what it was, but
I'm pretty sure it was both. I'm pretty sure you have said that to every person that's come on the show. And
that's fair. I know Alex Bouchard goes there all the time down there, so I don't have to worry about that. He's always got a crew going there. So no, that's incredible. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for liking it, man. That's cool. All right, so. You kind of talked about like, you were golfing a lot. You're kind of that Texas Roadhouse thing, by the way, is awesome because I love Texas Roadhouse. It's kind of like, Ed, it's not like, how would you like word Texas Roadhouse? Like, how do Americans look at Texas? Because it's not frowned upon, but it's just like,
I wouldn't say it's frowned upon, but it's a chain. So like for some reason, people get kind of snobbish about their chains here. Like, you went there and it's like, it was
great.
The steak there is going to taste the same as the steak most other places. Like, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
No, I do like that because you're right. The rolls, I could eat a whole meal of those rolls and then not have any room for it. I've done it before.
Yeah, like the steakhouse equivalent of Olive Garden breadsticks. I don't know if that means anything to you, Adam, but it definitely
we never actually went to Olive Garden. So we had
You're not missing out. They just have really good breadsticks.
We went to Olive Garden. Sorry, not Olive Garden. Carrabba's, I think.
Those are
that's where if you were having Italian, that's where we would go.
Wait, can I? Speaking of chains, did you go to Outback?
Yeah, I found it very different because like you guys call it shrimp, so like you'd go up, you'd order like a fried shrimp, but in Australia we don't call it shrimp. So I was like, every time I went with Stein, I was like, this is factually wrong. We don't call it shrimp in Australia.
What do you call it?
We call it prawns.
Yeah, know that.
So every time you hear in America, they go, oh, put a shrimp on the barbie, because we say barbie a lot, and I said we don't call it shrimp, but
wow,
yeah. So a couple of different things, and I really enjoyed the menu. Like a lot of it was pretty good food. Because I don't think I've actually been to an Outback Steakhouse here in a while. It's kind of, you don't really see a lot of them. There are a couple around, but you kind of just go to a pub kind of vibe, and instead of going to Outback Steakhouse. So
okay, that's fair.
I feel like that's true here, honestly, for the most part.
Yeah,
as well. I have an Australia question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions on Mad Max, the entire series, can be any of the movies. You have any opinions on Mad Max?
I haven't watched a lot of them, so I'm not a big Mad Max fan. The ones that I have, they're not too bad. Not my favorite movie, but they're enjoyable to watch.
What would be your favorite? Like, what would be your
favorite movie?
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm still sticking on Star Wars. Like, I love my Star Wars.
Fair enough.
You can't see it on screen, but just over to the right, I have a bunch of Star Wars figurines sitting up there.
All right.
But yeah,
Love
I'm a big
this.
Star Wars fan.
We just talked to we had Max Carlson on today. I don't know if you've gotten to know him, but he's big Star Wars guy.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Like, in Australia, you kind of, you either have Star Wars fans or Star Wars haters. You kind of don't really have in between where it's like, oh, it's okay. It's kind of like,
wild.
oh, I'm a Star Wars fan or I'm not. So
I feel like I'm in between because I like it. Like, I've seen all of them and I appreciate it for what it is because I know it's good, but it's not like I couldn't tell you like which movie, like what happened in each one. But I don't hate it though. I'm not going to hate on it ever.
My wife has never seen Star Wars.
my girlfriend hasn't seen Star Wars either. She hasn't seen Harry Potter either. So
How do you miss? Like, I can get one, but like, how do you miss both? That's
I know.
That's actually incredible.
I've tried to tell her to watch it a couple of times, but she's like, "Oh, they're too long." I'm like, "You just got to watch it. Like, they're actually good ones. Like, the first couple, it's a bit slow going, but then after that, it's like, all right, let's go." So, but yeah, she won't watch them. I've tried. Trust me, I've tried, but won't watch them.
Adam, I got one of my last questions I have for you. I have a revolving question this year. I mean, obviously you answered the chicken one already, and I'm gonna just
we're counting that as a Zaxby's.
We're counting that as a Zaxby's, unless you're saying Chick-fil-A or Cane's is better than Zaxby's, which I hope not. But
I think So I've only had Raising Cane's once here, but I enjoyed Chick-fil-A sandwiches. I enjoy those a lot.
But you like Zaxby's a little more, right?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Okay. All right, just had to double check.
This was not said under duress.
I've been doing a revolving question this year, and I agree with Max Carlson what he said. It kind of says a lot about somebody based on what they answer this question as. All right, so you got 3 of your fingers, right? So you're going to have a sauce that can get dispensed from 3 of your fingers, and those are the only sauces that you can have for the rest of your life. And you can't have anything else. What 3 sauces are you picking?
So for me, I have Chick-fil-A sauce and Raising Cane sauce. But we have a sauce back here in Australia. It's called Nando's Peri Peri mayonnaise. Which, like, you can get it mild or hot. I like spicy. So I would choose the Nando's Peri Peri hot mayonnaise.
Nando's Peri Peri.
I swear I've heard of that. I've heard of Peri Peri. I don't know if it was specifically Nando's. I've definitely had.
Well, I don't. It probably isn't, but that's the one I refer to, and I really enjoy it a lot. So,
Nando's Peri Peri. There it is. Oh,
you're gonna have to try some of that, Parker. You've gotten so many people to try Zaxby's. You have to start trying what they recommend you.
Yeah, but there's a problem. This is it's a South African company.
So there's mail. Get it in the mail. It's fine.
All right, fair.
Yeah, all right. Have them ship it over to you.
Ed, would you got any final thoughts here?
Any final thoughts here? Yeah. I mean, I guess big season for you on every possible way. I mean, it sounds like you pitched professionally. Physically had to get a lot stronger. Sounds like you were able to do that. Mentally, you had to get a lot stronger just to, be on your own for the first time. What do you want to come from the next season? Like, I know you're on your break now, like, which is good. You should rest up, but I'm sure you have some goals for next season. Like, what say we're talking this time next year? Like, what do you want to have accomplished?
I definitely want to be in Salem next year. Being able to face different teams, but definitely want to be in Salem next year. And I want to, obviously, everyone wants to throw a little bit harder, but especially coming into this year, I knew I had to get, as you said, bigger, stronger, tougher, mentally, physically. But I want to be able to, show that I can improve not just in 1 year, but in multiple years. I can keep doing it. So being able to, throw a little bit harder, throw a little bit more consistently. So whether more strikes, more innings, obviously if I go up to Salem, it's going to be longer. We'll be able to do everything just a little bit better than what I did this year. So be a better baseball player all around, and if that's how you want to look at it. But yeah, definitely.
I guess I do have one other question, because we don't get, as I was alluding to before, we don't get to see you guys play in the FCL. We only get to read the box scores. We got to see a few guys like Franklin Arias, Yildiz Cespedes, guys like that come up to Salem. Well, actually, no, I don't think we got to see Cespedes play. I think he got hurt before that, but we did get to see a few guys come up from Salem. Which of the position players that you got to play with impressed you the most? Like could be on either side of the ball, offensively, defensively. Like who should we be excited about getting to see in Salem
next year? Definitely Cespedes. So obviously you guys didn't see him, but I was talking to Stein. We're going to a Rays game after a game against the Orioles, and I said to him, you hear so much about, our prospects and whatnot before you come over, and, Cespedes is really good. But he kind of had like a slowish start. And then I think after I said that, he just went on an absolute tear for like the next 3 weeks, just hit, home run after double after home run after double. And I'm just in there, I'm like, oh, I just ate my own words. But, just to, like, he has such a nice swing. Like, it's aggressive. It's really good to watch. So when he's back up there next year, I think he'll do really good things. And Nunez as well, if he comes up there, has such good hands, very good fielder. So, and he's very quick, very good base runner.
That's good to know. So that's Starlin Nunez?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good to know. Appreciate that.
Super unfortunate Cespedes season got cut short because like Ed said, I was interested to see what he was going to do in Salem, but
we got to see Arias, so it's fine.
Yeah,
we got one really talented infielder there.
Yeah, he's also really good. Same thing as Cespedes. He just broke out in a good way, just hitting balls off the wall, smoking them into gaps. Like, it was just unreal to watch.
Yeah, he was the MVP for the whole FCL, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
It's got to be fun, like getting to play on the same team as that guy and not having to pitch to him. Like, imagine if he was on the Twins.
Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks.
All right, Adam. Well, you gave us a ton of time. We appreciate all the time. Once again, thank you for coming on for a second time. You're only the second guy, I think, that we've had on for 2 episodes. I think Taylor Broadway was our first one.
Right. Well, we've only done this. This is season 2, so we're kind of limited in that.
Well, appreciate you, Adam, especially from all the way in Australia. We appreciate you hopping on.
No, thank you for having me again.